I'm ready.
Meow, meow.
Do we know what episode we're on?
23.
23. So we're...
The Jordan year.
I like how we're actually getting the number right because we looked at it before so often now.
Well, now I'm keeping a list in our note.
Oh, okay.
Okay, now we're on 23 mode.
Here's what we're going to talk about. I like it. All right. So, welcome back to 500 Cats.
Episode 23. It's weird. I don't have a pop filter on my mic, so I don't know how close to put my lips to the mic.
Well, if you hear that pop sound, dial it back a little bit.
So I might drift in and out today.
It's okay. I don't have headphones, so I can't hear any of you.
So the slowest weekend of the year
Yeah,
was last weekend, but one of the biggest events of the year.
true.
That was the first weekend since April that we didn't have multiple events.
Which is wild.
Yeah, it was. And
This
you
has
guys
been
were
a
off.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
awesome.
I mean, I watched way too much of Frankfurt through the night for
did
my health.
not.
But
And it
I
was
laid by the pool.
and it was an exciting race.
yeah,
It usually is. Like Frankfurt delivers, and we're talking about Ironman Frankfurt, obviously in Frankfurt, Germany. And I think probably the one big thing that stands out is the 4-loop run course, that
Yeah.
it's easy to cover and show where everybody is at all the times. And although it was a single gender race, so we've talked about this, that are less exciting than the dual gender races, it was exciting. And no surprise that Christian Blumenfeld won.
Yeah. Well, there was some controversy that not led to his win, but possibly contributed, right?
Yeah, the Christian Hogenhag got a penalty and also had a technical, but yeah, there was some penalties that it's interesting that we do these broadcasts and you could talk all day about the storyline, but the things that like made the news, and when I mean the news, I mean social media, were the penalties.
Yeah.
Magnus Ditlev got a littering penalty followed by a red card that he was absolved of. And Christian Hogenhag got an outside assistance penalty that he was not absolved of. And then I think people just like to create controversy.
Right.
Although I think there was some controversy due.
True. I mean, it was very interesting to see that blow up of actually they were enforcing the rules, but it like the strictness, I don't think most people were ready for how strict they were enforcing the rules, which they're the rules. If you break the rules, no matter how big the margin is, you broke the rules. But I was even surprised. And then talking with one of the pros was like, yeah, he should have known better. That's a pro coach.
Yeah. I mean, we did hear that, that we had one of the pros in our office for an interview yesterday. And yeah, you should know the rules.
Yeah, true. He fully changed my mind. I was like, you know what? You're right. It doesn't matter how little you break the rules by. If you break the rules, you break the rules.
And maybe I missed it, but I wish people had talked more about how Christian's probably the best runner ever in
Yeah.
triathlon. And yes, don't get me wrong, it's the Magnus penalty and all the stuff that happened was interesting and drama, and we love drama. But like, can we talk about a 2:30 marathon
An
in
insane
Frankfurt?
marathon.
Yeah, one of the fastest marathons ever run. That's probably like top 5 in triathlon, in Ironman distance triathlon.
Yeah.
And yeah, it got overshadowed by penalties and stuff like
Mechanicals.
that.
I think I saw somewhere it's like only his third fastest of the season though.
Really?
He had like a 5-minute faster marathon in Texas,
Jeez.
but no one really knew, right? Because he had a big mechanical on the bike, so you didn't see it.
Oh yeah, and it wasn't quite that fast, but yeah. Marcus is looking it up right now, so we can.
And I know he put down
am.
a sweet
So-
time in Oceanside, but he had the flat.
Do you remember what his time was in Frankfurt?
I thought it was 2:30, like 50 or something.
Oh, really? Okay, so then this probably just has not been updated yet. I have this linked to the Ironman distance records from tryrating.com. And the top 5 currently listed, so it may just not have been updated with Blumenfeld's run, is
Lange?
Ironman Brazil,
Yeah.
Manol,
Yeah, and he just did that a couple weeks ago.
Okay.
And this is gonna,
226.50.
and this is going to go into the stuff we're going to talk about today. Is this guy does a 226.50, an unheard of time, and the common response is doper, like,
Yeah.
and, which to me, completely uncalled for, and people are just bringing the sport down.
Yeah, 100%. And
Okay,
then
so
the
here-
next two are both Lange, which is 2:30.27 at Challenge Roth and 2:30.31 at Ironman Israel. Then Blumenfeld fourth, 2:32.29 Ironman
Texas.
Germany,
Oh, okay.
2024. Then Lange again at the World Championships in Nice, 2:32.41.
Jeez.
So
In Nice, too.
And then where was he just this weekend?
let me look up Blumenfeld on this
The
weekend.
time from Frankfurt,
Oh yeah. You got it.
2:30:59.
Okay, so he'll
I was
be
close.
He'll
So-
be fourth. He'll push himself out of fourth into fifth and become fourth.
So, and okay, so back to that's what should have been the story, but it was penalties
Yeah.
and hype. And I take a little bit of responsibility for it.
You are the kingmaker.
Yeah, because I get to cut down the 5 hour or the 10 hour broadcast, or in this case, like 8.5 hour broadcast, because it was just men and it went fast, and pull the highlights out. And I pulled all the controversial stuff out because it was interesting, and F-bombs.
Yep.
I've only been caught broadcasting where an F-bomb just went out crystal clear once before.
Yeah, it was a major one before, but
Yes. And then again in Frankfurt,
yeah,
when Ditlev got the red card, he spit out an F-bomb.
yeah,
But
Right.
then I beeped it out in the highlights, and then everybody chopped it up on the internet, and I've seen it in like 10 or 12 different places.
that's what's so funny is that you know that it's your edit that people have stolen from the internet because the same beep is played everywhere.
Iron Man's edit that I
Yes.
did, yes, but you're exactly
Yes.
right. And
We should have made it a meow. Meow.
That's what I said.
Yeah, I know. And then it would have been.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was going to live through the editorial process.
Yeah.
I'll be honest that I was like, this is interesting and funny to me, but a lot of times what's interesting and funny to me doesn't make it to the internet, thankfully. So, and I think, so anyway, great broadcast. Probably the biggest letdown of the day was our staff member, Ryan High.
Yeah.
In the morning, we
Failed
gave him the
us.
instructions of, if we see you on the show,
He was in Frankfurt doing GPS,
and so he's always around the pros.
and he's always on TV. Anytime they're in transition, he gets a cameo.
And we saw him several times. And I said, if we see you on the show, we'll tell you over the radio you're live, and I need you to do the robot. And he didn't do it once.
Not
That's
even once.
disappointing.
Very disappointing.
Yeah.
He needs to do better.
Needs to do better.
Well, and so now I think it's going to turn into a Where's Waldo thing where we need our fans to keep an eye out because he's
Yes.
going to do the robot.
He's going to. Yeah.
And we need people to clip it and send it to us.
Yeah. And then it's laying in Lake Placid. So
Yeah.
he's got something to live up to.
Same
I
rules.
mean, and all you guys are in Lake Placid.
I'm not.
Oh, you're not, but
Just me and
Ryan
Lane.
is.
Yeah.
The whole team is in Lake Placid.
Absolutely.
So we have lots of opportunities.
Honestly, that's what's good is it's going to be kind of the whole TikTok dance thing where we're going to be like, hey, dude, Lane did it, so you better do it.
Yeah.
Ryan Kelly did it. You're going to have to do
I
it.
might just go hang out in transition
Yeah.
just to get on TV and do the robot, just to make Ryan
100%.
High like he's got something to live up to now. Like he's got to do it.
From the moment when you see the camera, just start
Just
and
start.
don't stop until they're out of transition.
I
The
think,
sprinkler.
I think if we work together, we can make it happen.
I agree.
Like, I don't think the powers that be listen to our podcast, but I'm directing the show.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to be like, pan over to the left, pan over to the left.
Hold your
And then-
shot. Hold your shot.
And then Ryan, go. So be sure to watch Iron Man Lake Placid.
Yeah, it's gonna be a good one.
Yeah.
We'll try to make something happen for that.
The one last little shout out I want to do for Frankfurt is German race car drone guy, Autobahn drone guy.
We had an FPV. We had multiple drone operators, but we had an FPV, first person view drone operator that kind of just flew circles around the swim. It wasn't like he got down in slow and went with the swimmers. He like dive bombed them, but had all these really cool views.
He did barrel roll.
Yeah.
Really?
Did a
I
bear
missed
roll.
that.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Was that a cool viewing experience?
It
Or
was.
was it weird?
So
Okay.
I got to be honest, me sitting at home, there was a time, and I think it was like waiting for the gun. So it was
okay.
like kind of this limbo, like 3 minutes or longer than you think.
Yeah.
And he did like 10 circles, and I was like, okay, it's a little much. But other than that moment, like every time you saw it, and I think the same guy did, not the FPV, but just regular drone work at the finish line, and just like art with all the architecture of the buildings around the finish line. He included it, and it's good stuff.
You know what we should do is we should build an award for best drone pilot of the year and send it out
He's tied with the guy from Eagle Man.
in
Yeah.
Texas.
So the company
Yeah,
was
in Texas.
the company that was out of Germany called Skynamic. So shout out to them.
Yeah, and I knew that was coming because when I was in the studio Saturday morning, we usually test about 12 hours before the event, maybe a little more than that. And he was testing his drone flying around the beach. So I got to see, I was like, oh, this is going to be good.
Yeah.
Because he was like buzzing people out kayaking and swimming and stuff like that.
Nice.
So Frankfurt was good. And here's where we're going with all of this is back to the same thing we've been talking about since the beginning of the podcast, YouTube comments. And we got some really mean YouTube comments. Just mean. People, they body shame some of the athletes.
It was personal.
They accuse people that are doing good of doing drugs. They were hard on our commentators who are great people.
Mm-hmm.
And it's discouraging. You're working so hard. I get it. 99.9% of the people are happy.
Right.
And they're happy to watch and they enjoy it. And I get feedback during the show from friends, family, coworkers, hey, that was great, or this was, blah, blah, blah. But the YouTube commenters are brutal.
Yeah.
And they just are, it's just weird. I can't wrap my head around why you would take the time to watch something that embroils you to the point of, creating a burner account, because we did go try to track some of the people down. And so in these accounts, some of them may be like 10 years old, which usually is a sign that it's not a burner account. But then they have no videos and no followers, or just 1 or 2 followers, which would then indicate it's definitely a burner account.
Yeah.
And they post these things. They don't have the balls to use their real name, although somebody did.
Somebody made that mistake.
Yeah, and probably the worst comment we had was a comment towards one of our commentators that was just like, you should retire, basically, because you're so terrible. And the guy used his real name.
Yeah.
And holy smokes.
And his real picture.
And we're not going to blow him up now, but he's going to get blown up.
Yeah.
I feel like the fact that he used his real name, that it's going to come back to him. A professional. Where did we see that he lived? In Austria, a professional, a dude, but then saying these really mean things. And everybody's entitled to their opinion, but why you would come out and say things like that.
Should I read it?
Sure.
You're allowed to have your opinion, but you need to keep your opinion to yourself sometimes.
All right, I'm going to read it.
Well, yeah, and why don't you just, he used his real name.
Yeah, literally his handle is first name, last name.
Which is
Matic Bracco.
Matic Bracco.
There it is. Dear Dee Dee, I'm writing on behalf of the triathlon community with sincere request. Please do us all a favor and decline future commentary roles. Your commentary is widely perceived as unbearable and often incompetent, and it significantly detracts from the viewing experience. Best regards, everyone watching Ironman Frankfurt stream.
So first of all, why does he think he gets to speak on behalf of the triathlon community?
He doesn't speak on behalf of me.
He doesn't speak on behalf of me. And of course, I'm going to defend my friend Dee Dee because she's my friend, but she's also a good commentator.
Yeah.
And in fact, we get to hire commentators for events outside of Ironman. And one of the people we've chosen to hire is Dee Dee.
Yep.
To help us with gravel.
Yep.
But this guy's not happy. And that just is mean.
It's just mean.
There's no use for that at all.
And that was an Instagram private message, as much as we're talking about YouTube comments. And I'll give him credit that he used his real name, which I don't know that I would want my name attached to that.
I wouldn't. I mean, I
Even
wouldn't
if it
send
was Tony Romo, who's not my favorite commentator, although I watch him every weekend, but I would never post something. And the worst I would say is not my favorite,
Right.
which means he could be my second favorite. But I would never go post something about you should quit or you should retire. What's wrong with
I don't understand what he like. I feel like the activation threshold of just sending a DM at all is pretty high for me personally. So like the fact that like, what are you trying to gain? You know, like what are you trying to accomplish? Of I'm going to pull out my Instagram and find her. And
he wants to be an asshole. Like that. There's no reason, no legitimate reason to send that. Period. You're not actually doing anything other than making that person feel bad. The entire purpose of a DM like that and a DM is to be an asshole to that person specifically. I want you to feel bad about yourself.
Yeah.
yeah,
Which how does that make your life any better to do that? I can't understand. I can't wrap my head around hating things that much. How do you hate your life that much?
Yeah, and maybe he can come on the show and explain that to us, like how.
I actually would like him to take up our previous offer.
Swing
by
us.
and fight us.
So that was the one of the negative parts of this weekend, and maybe because we weren't so busy that we were able to zero in on, some of the more negative things. But there was other comments towards the athletes. It wasn't just towards Didi, towards our other announcer, Craig Alexander, who is the greatest dude in the world.
Yeah.
And he said, I've gotten private messages like that before, which is what?
Yeah.
To Craig Alexander? Are you kidding me?
That's
anybody.
wild. To anybody.
Anybody. And then we'll continue on with this story. There was another event that we had absolutely nothing to do with that blew up the internet, and the comments were crazy positive. And that's the Western States 100 broadcast, which was super cool. That it wasn't, first of all, it's way more remote. They're covering 100 miles of trail running. Marcus, you've been in that area where Auburn, California is.
Dude, there's no cell signal out there.
And so they didn't cover it like we do, like start to finish. They covered aid stations. They covered sections where they had cell service. But for the most part, everybody was super pumped about it. And there was such a drastic difference in the comments that people were like, this is amazing. Go Jimmy. And on a lot of the other broadcasts, that not just us, but other people, they're hypercritical of what's happening. Even on the PTO broadcast, people are hypercritical of what's happening on screen. And for whatever reason, the Western States 100, which I'm giving it 2 thumbs up, I had it on for like 3 hours. The comments were just overwhelmingly positive. And this is even the times when it's a 2-box. One box is like showing a person's feet and choppy, and another box like a static camera of an aid station.
like the cameraman's feet, not like a runner's feet.
Yeah, cameraman's feet. So, not the greatest, tightest broadcast. And I don't want to be critical because we've been to that area. It's super remote. It's super rural. There isn't good cell service. And then covering a 100-mile trail running race is difficult.
Also,
in
to
itself.
So
they'd
hard.
expose such a cool event that no one's ever seen before, and man, I congratulate anyone for doing that. Like, that's what we do. Like that's awesome.
And you can't complain if it's free.
You
You
shouldn't
shouldn't.
complain.
It's free entertainment on the internet.
I feel like it all goes to like it speaks 1,000 words to me, the difference in community of the different sports that we see. Because like Western States, I think it had like 30,000 viewers at any given time.
Yeah, like more than that, like 35 to 37. In the 3 hours I watched it, it went from 35 to 37.
Which is awesome. And if you watch the live comment stream and like pay attention to the handles posting, it's not 30,000 people. It's what, like 20?
Yeah.
50 at
Yeah,
best.
a lot, and the same thing on our Ironman broadcast. A lot of the same people, good or bad. It's like 100 people post.
Yeah. And to me, it's like in the events that we've been a part of and what I've watched, it's like the squeaky wheel, right? Like one person says one kind of vibe or tone about the event, and then everyone else, not everyone, like 20 other people chime in, and then all of a sudden that's the tone for the broadcast that's saved, and people make big decisions on moving forward. And man, it's not representative of the whole thing, but also it kind of like I hope we can fix the triathlon community.
Yeah. And we noticed in gravel racing there was a similar as triathlon, just I demand respect because I'm watching for free and I want this now.
Yeah.
And one thing, and this is not to be critical of our clients, it's not just our clients, it's a lot of groups out there, is I don't understand why they don't moderate this.
Yeah.
The simplest moderation is you're banned.
Mm-hmm.
And then when people are like, you just banned him, and say, our brand isn't about whining.
Yeah.
The Ironman isn't about whining. We don't want whiners.
Yeah.
This is Ironman. This is difficult stuff. Whiners is not what we want. And get rid of them.
Or even turn off the comments would be. I
Yeah.
don't love that option because I like when it's actually community. It's really cool.
I don't love that option either.
But I feel like if you're not going to moderate it, turning it off might be the better option.
And the difference between a finish line camera and a broadcast, the comments is astounding. Like a finish line camera, it's go Jimmy.
Yeah.
You're my hero. And the broadcast comments are, this guy's doping, or his body's too big to be competitive. And
Or I could do better with my iPhone.
I could do better with my iPhone. I like that one though.
That
That's
one's
challenge accepted.
yeah.
No, we can bring your cell phone in. Like, just let us know. We'll show us what you got.
Kudos to Western States.
Yeah. And that's
it takes guts to try to cover. And I know Ironman Group has covered canyons
yeah.
in that area. It wasn't us. We've been a part of it,
Mm-hmm.
but I think it's a very similar course. It basically goes the opposite direction.
Yeah.
And then Western States is kind of the big show in trail running in the United States and almost the world. And yeah, the comments and the community and it was entertaining, even though it wasn't entertaining.
Yeah.
Like just watching people get sponge baths at aid stations, which was fascinating. I didn't know when they came into the aid station that the leaders have these groups of 10 and it's like a NASCAR pit
Yeah.
that they just, all these people jump on them and spruce them up and then they're on their way. So it's super cool,
That
and
is
kudos to whoever did that. They did mention on the broadcast that they use Teradek equipment, and we do a lot of what we do with Teradek. We also use LiveView and a couple others, but I can't remember the last time I heard a broadcast where they said, here's how we're doing it.
Yeah. That is cool.
My follow request was denied.
Oh, Ryan was trying to follow our friend. He's probably getting lots of followers today.
Yeah.
Not because of our podcast, because somebody sent that to me.
Right. Yeah,
So
exactly.
I didn't go research it out. I might have mentioned to some people I was disappointed in our community. And that's the last thing for we're talking about triathlon community right now, but any community that you're in, I mean, you have some responsibility to patrol it.
Yeah.
And when people come and say things like that, turning off their comments or, hey, we don't appreciate that. I see a lot of nasty stuff in my Cocker Spaniel community.
That's wild.
Well, everybody knows how to raise a dog better than everybody else.
Yeah.
And it is wild, but it's a whole different level of pettiness.
I think what goes a long way is, like, again, I mean, 0.5% of people are upset and make comments about it. And I'm sure a majority of people are watching are happy. Just spread more positivity. Like that stuff drowns out the negativity way more than you might think. And just my Aunt Susie's on the run course right now. Go Susie. Like that stuff's great. And then people chime in and people start to ignore the bad, and that goes a long way.
And I think we had the interesting thought of, is it the product that they hate or the distributor? Right? Do they are they upset with the Ironman Group or Lifetime or Western States, or are they really upset that the coverage isn't good? Because the coverage is good.
Yeah, and
It's a weird thing, like you're saying, is why.
And the coverage is usually good.
That's
Like
what-
you see
yeah.
those comments, like you didn't see the comments in Western States. And I'm trying to be really careful not to be critical,
Yeah.
but their broadcast was nowhere near up to what we're able to do with cycling because it's way easier.
Right.
You know, and then if you take soccer is one more step easier than that because all the
Yeah.
cameras are connected to cables. But it wasn't super high def. There's lots of things you could go, but the comments, you're right. Is it the brand? Is it the community? Is it the distribution?
Yeah.
Like, what are people so wound up about?
Yeah.
Who
If-
knows?
If
That's
you're wound
interesting.
up, let us know. Like, why you're so wound up.
I had somebody come up to me in St. George a couple years ago, and I used to have a much higher profile in the business than I do now, and so he knew who I was. And then he went on to tell me, like, you guys should hire me to do the production because it would be way better. And I regret it to this day. I didn't say anything negative back because I was so taken back by the comments that I was kind of waiting for him to be like, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
But then he wasn't kidding. Yeah.
Fascinating.
Yeah, it was. I kind of wish I remembered who it was because he knew me and it was somebody that had indicated we saw each other on a regular basis. But anyway, so I have
Yeah.
had those comments to my face before and I can handle it. I handled it well.
Right.
So
Spread positivity.
Yeah.
spread positivity. Well, speaking of positivity, coming up here in just a little bit, one of our clients is here to record a podcast, and we got a chance to sit down with them. And cool dude,
Yeah.
Justin
Awesome.
Metzler, and he has a podcast called
Endurance matters.
Endurance Matters. Thank you.
Yeah.
I knew that.
Yeah.
But we caught up with Justin, and yeah, Justin, what up?
Oh, these headphones are different. It's all different, man.
All right, cool. We'll take a break from like the normal stuff at 500 Cats. Did you even know we had a podcast?
I knew you guys did, but I didn't. It's skiing, is it not?
Well, that's how to ski it. We have two podcasts.
Okay.
So the 500 Cats is about events
Okay.
and just the crazy stuff we go through when we put on events. So, and here we have, I should have introduced you first, Justin Metzler. I would say friend, but pro triathlete. And we see you a lot because you're at the same events we go to, but you're not like, we put on events for athletes, but you're not really one of those athletes that we necessarily put on events for. And so one of my questions is, do you notice the event production?
I think I only notice it because I know you guys. You know what I mean? Like I run into you guys at all the races. I see you out there. I think like you guys do a good job of ensuring that things are well run and that like everything is moving smoothly. But I don't know if it's like that's the production's happening, you know?
Yeah, because we gear so much of it towards the age group athletes. So we want to
Yeah.
make sure it's like, you know, Eye of the Tiger and stuff like that. But I've always wondered if the pros even notice the music or if there's ever a moment that the event production, you walk in and you go, wow, that looks great or something like that.
I think as pros, we're so, especially on race day, we're so locked into what we're doing and we're so laser focused on just the nerves and the competition and trying to win the triathlon that a lot of the stuff going on in the background is just like, we're really not paying attention to that.
That's what I would have guessed.
Yeah.
Okay, so then one of the other things we talk about a lot on our podcast is the broadcast. And do you ever watch the broadcast?
I do watch the
assume that's
broadcast a lot.
different.
Yeah, I watch the broadcast a ton. And so obviously I notice the production there and I'm always like, yeah, I'm intrigued by how you guys do everything that you do. And I think having been in the studio here filming my podcast and getting to know you guys, like it's impressive how you guys are able to pull all the pieces together and have it seem so seamless. And even the guests that we have on, they don't even know that it's a remote
Right.
production. They
Right.
just assume that if the Ironman's going on in Frankfurt, like they're sitting at a desk at the finish line.
Right,
And they're not,
right.
you know?
So you watch it because you love the sport of triathlon, but do you watch it to get to like watch your competitors and stuff like that?
I think I'm more a fan at the end of the day. Like I came into the sport as a fan and I've always been a massive fan of triathlon. And I think that I'll go out a fan and I'll always be tuning into it just because it's like this is my life passion. So I think where I'm at in my career personally, maybe in the past couple years, it's been a little bit of field research, but where I'm at now, I'm really excited to just sort of see where the sport's going and what the level's at. And if I can just follow suit even to a degree, I'm pretty stoked.
And so that was going to be one of my questions is where are you at in your career?
Yeah, I'm at a bit of an inflection point, I'd say right now. Like I'm 32, which on paper sounds young, but it's my 12th season as a pro. So I've been racing triathlon for almost 20 years. And my body isn't the same as it was when I was 19, 20 coming in. And so I feel like my engine's really strong. Like my engine is as strong as it's ever been. And my motivation to be one of the best is still there. But I think my perspective now, having had a lot of failures and some successes in triathlon, is more about just enjoying it. And I think a lot of people say like, oh, I just am here for the process and I just want to get the most out of myself or whatever. But I feel like I'm finally maybe at a point where I'm really sort of living that. And I got to a point where I didn't enjoy the training and I didn't enjoy the races and I wasn't having fun out there. And I think I had a major surgery end of last year and that really gave me a good reality check to be like, okay, triathlon's my whole life. I don't want any sour notes in my mouth with this. And so I'm going to reframe my perspective, do things that I want to do races that I want to do, train with the people I want to train with, not try to be anyone other than myself. And I think that's where I'm at now, is heading into, I don't know. I know it's the back nine of my career, but hopefully I still got 5 to 9 holes left and I can really maximize my enjoyment through all those years. And if high performance follows, then I'm going to be really happy with that.
Is that scary?
Not really. I think I've come to terms with that. And I think especially because I've recognized, especially end of 2024 and 2025, that like I've got the tools to still be in the sport outside of just being an athlete. Like I can be in this space and get a lot of value out of coaching, podcasting, community focused events. I get a lot out of being a support personnel too. I think there's nothing like pushing your body physically to the limit. I still love that. And I feel like I can scratch that itch, whether I'm racing professionally or whether I'm just training, because the training for me is where I really thrive. I love to train. The racing is a byproduct of that. And it comes with its own, amazing highs but also comes with a lot of pressure and a lot of stress. So, I think I'm in a positive state. I mean, the future is always a bit unknown and a bit scary, but I'm just trying to be very present in what I'm trying to do today.
Yeah, that's cool. It sucks that an injury helped bring some of that perspective, but you're somebody we really look up to because of your positive attitude. And you and Jeannie, starting with VR, always gave us your time. And we talk about that on the podcast. Like some people give us their time, some people don't, but you guys always did. So it meant a lot.
Yeah, Jeannie and I just at the end of the day try to be good people. And, we're not super spiritual and we're not religious or anything. Our religion is sport. And I think for us, it's just about waking up every day and trying to proceed with just being a good human. And I think for us, we want to leave the sport better than we found it. And I think that our impact is on the personal level. Like we're not going to be the biggest superstars. We're not going to be flashy and showy on Instagram. We're not going to be out here, causing a scene and causing drama. Like we just want to be known as good people. And if we impacted 10 people really positively, we'd rather that be, it be 10 people really positively over 100,000 people who maybe saw us from on the periphery. And, that was that.
Yeah, that's good. I kind of knew that about you, which kind of brings up one of the things we were going to talk about is the last couple episodes on 500 Cats. We've talked about how vile YouTube comments are and just how awful it is. And we're going to talk more about it today of how positive the comments were for the Western States broadcast. But do you get any of that negative? Do you see any of that negative stuff on your guys' social or?
Yeah, we do. I think that, so just to give a little bit of backstory as to where I've been with social media is I recognized really early in my career, when I first came in 2014, 2015, that's when social media became a really important part of professional athletes' brands. And I sort of recognized that early and felt like I was ahead of the curve and posting all the time, trying to be really transparent about my training, trying to tell my journey and my story. I was trying to just feature Jeannie and I's life, whether that was on Instagram or YouTube or whatever. And there was probably a point there where everyone else caught up and got ahead, and I was just still trying to get with it. But I always have felt like I've never had a massive following, but the people that do follow me and Jeannie are like really supportive and really hardcore followers. And so 2020 through 2023, I really focused on building out the YouTube. And I was just talking about this with Eric Hinman, who's a big social media influencer on the podcast that we recorded before this. And I was just telling him that during that time, you know, we were getting 30, 40,000 views per YouTube video, which for a triathlon channel is like pretty solid.
Great.
And getting a lot of momentum behind it and filming videos every week. And I would get 100 comments on there being like, dude, you're going to crush it. Like, I'm so stoked you're podiuming, you know, an Ironman, and, you know, you're going to win the next one, and you qualified for Kona, and all this amazing support. And then there'd be someone who'd go on there and be like, yeah, if you just lost 10 pounds, I think you could really get a lot better. Or, oh, your bike fit's the worst bike fit I've ever seen in the world. Or, oh, your coach needs to be this person or that person. Or just like comments that have no base and really like don't make any sense. And you've got 99 amazing comments that really uplift you and make you feel amazing and make you feel like you're on the right path. But then you're like laying up at night thinking about that like one person who said something totally random.
Right.
And it was like, I had one particular troll, and this guy trolled a lot of the triathletes for some reason, the other triathlon YouTubers. And I don't know why. He would just go and make mean comments. I didn't like it.
Why? Where do you think that comes from, to take the time out of your day to watch a bike race and then just trash everybody involved?
Yeah, I forget the quote, but I saw something yesterday saying no one ahead of you or in life is going to comment on your flaws.
Yes, that's true.
So if someone's commenting on your flaws or your fallbacks, they're probably not in an amazing position themselves.
Yeah.
And so that's something I've sort of recognized over time, like, you know, getting a little bit older and getting more experience in that. But I think for me, social media, I've taken a big step back on social media just because I've recognized that my impact isn't necessarily in that world. And maybe
it's a lot of work these days to keep up with the Talbot Coxes and stuff like that.
Yeah. I mean, I respect what those guys do. And I think like where your attention goes and energy flows into it, that's where things are going to grow. And so I've recognized that in my life right now, I can only really focus on a handful of things and do them really well. And I'd rather be really proficient at the things I'm focusing on than like sort of a just okay jack of all trades. So I've sort of boiled it down to like, okay, here are my main pillars. I'm going to go all in on these until I have evidence that I should switch it up and do something different.
And one of those things is your podcast, Endurance Matters. We were talking about this today and we weren't blowing smoke. We enjoy recording your podcast because you have good guests and you're great at interviewing people. So is that like one of those items you're pouring positive energy into?
Yeah, you guys always hype me up when I come in, so it makes me feel good. I appreciate that.
We like it. No. I don't think we have any bad. We used to have a financial podcast that was pretty rough, but I don't think we have any bad podcasts. But yours is something I subscribe to.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I mean, the podcast has been something that, you know, me and Marcus, my producer who's in the room today, you know, we've been working on for the better part of the last year. And I think like any sort of business, it takes time to really grow and to get out there. And I think like my personality has always been one that can kind of get in front of camera or get onto a mic and speak. And so like, that's something that I want to leverage and know that is one of my sort of like, you know, my God-given skills and talents is to be able to just hop on a mic and speak and be able to connect with people. And I think the podcast has opened up a world for me where I'm able to have like a really intimate conversation with really cool people. Like I think we've done 26 or 27 podcasts, and like I put a lot of work into it because I'm a perfectionist.
It shows.
Yeah. And so I think that part at times can be stressful, but anything that's like worthwhile comes with the weight of preparation. I think whether that's like doing a triathlon, you know, that's going to take a lot of commitment, whether I'm, you know, building my coaching business, that's going to take a lot of commitment to making sure my athletes are looked after and feel like they are the best athletes in the world and they're getting the best attention. Same goes for the podcast. And so that's where, maybe in the past I was just dabbling a little bit too much and not putting my attention into the right places. So the podcast for me right now is something that like, okay, is one of my main 3 pillars. And I want to like do everything that I can while not dropping my other spinning plates, which are also extremely important to me.
The spinning plates is perfect. Last question. You came off an injury, Achilles. Like everybody knows how bad that can be. And you're back. 8th place in Boulder. Were you happy with that?
Yeah, I was content with Boulder 70.3. I think you go back and forth, and that's sort of like where I'm at in my career is having been someone who's, I've had 27 podium finishes in my career. The podium is sort of my standard.
Yeah, but after an Achilles injury, you might
Correct.
not ever come back.
Exactly. And I think there I have to remind myself, and I remind myself that like on the race course this year and when I'm training more than ever. And I think it really gives me great context for what a bad run means, because there are no bad runs anymore. Like if I go out there and I feel terrible for an hour, like there was 4 months where I was sitting on a couch and I was in a cast and I was in pain, and like nothing's linear, right? Like I had this major Achilles surgery. I wasn't sure if I was ever going to be able to run again. I did everything I could to get back. I'm back. Is it 100%? Am I at 100% fitness? Am I the athlete that I was when I was like, consistently getting on podiums and qualifying for Kona and whatever? Like I'm not quite there yet, but the gratitude that I have to not be in that phase where I'm retired is really, really high. Because I legitimately, September 2024, like I looked Jeannie and sat her down for real. And I think professional athletes will come on YouTube, oh, I'm retiring Lionel or whatever, or Sam Laidlow, I'm going to retire, I had a bad triathlon. You guys aren't going to retire. Like I sat down with Jeannie and I said, I really think it's time. It might be time for me to look at my next move. So to be back out there and have like this found time is really, really amazing. So being able to go to Shanghai, get on a podium, 3rd place in May, 8th place in Boulder, wasn't a podium, but still good performance. Like
Tough race.
Tough race, hard competition, real guys out there, like legit dudes. And so, yeah, like right now I'm having fun with the training. I'm spinning the plates. I'm doing the coaching. I'm doing the podcast. I'm training my ass off. Like I'm working hard. I'm having fun. I don't feel like I dislike any part of my life right now. I'm in like a good place in my life. I couldn't say that maybe 2 years ago. So yeah, I really would like to win another triathlon before that day comes where I'm done.
You make it sound good. You do. How do people find you?
Yeah, Big Mets Try on Instagram, Endurance Matters Podcast, Big Mets Triathlon Coaching on Instagram if you want coaching. Roster's pretty full though. So you might have to, you got to get the DMs in quick. Jeannie's taking on some clients, but yeah.
What kind of clients do you take on? Do you take on, if I was going to do an Ironman again, do you take on people like me or just elites?
We do. My goal for 2026 business.
He's like, no, thanks.
So my 2026 business goal is to have 50 clients in the business by end of 2026. And so we've got 27 right now, and it's only Jeannie and I coaching, and I don't feel like I can coach any more people. So we would love to have you in the business, but I don't know if I'm the coach because otherwise I start dropping the plates.
Yeah.
So that's where I think some coaches get in trouble, and people in all aspects of life, like you just take on more.
Too much.
Yeah.
We did that this year.
Yeah. Like, comes with money, comes with opportunity, comes with great connections. But I think at some point there's a threshold. So for me, the racing is a really important thing to conserve at all costs. So I can't coach 40 people because that's going to come at an impact or a penalty on that. So I want to have 50 clients by end of 2026. I'm looking at bringing on some, coaches to collaborate with here soon. And I think personally, my goal, especially if I'm inching towards some retirement in the next couple of years, is to be the best coach.
Nice.
So I think like my whole triathlon career wanted to be the best athlete. I think, I never am going to be able to be the best athlete. I can be a very, very good athlete, but I want to be the guy who can help athletes win world championships. So that's my mission.
Julie Divins.
I am a very, very big fan of Julie. I was coached by her for 5 years, and she was my mentor coaching wise for probably like 3 of those 5 years. But there, I learned some lessons, and I think I can create something.
Nice. So you just said, last question, you said if you took on 50 people, something would suffer. Would it be your racing or would it be your customers?
I think I could coach 50. Oh, no, I don't think I could coach 50. I think I could coach 30 people.
Well, what would you put first?
Racing's my number one right now.
Yeah, and I'm not, there's no wrong answer.
And I communicate that to the athletes that I work with, and especially the professional athletes. And I was speaking with a client on Sunday, actually, who is a professional athlete, lives in Boulder, contacted me, said, I'm interested in the market for a new coach. And he straight up asked me, amazing question. I love that he asked me this. He said, what is your biggest strengths and what are your biggest weaknesses? And I said, I listed my strengths as what I can deliver as a coach, but I've learned I have to be, especially with the pros, I think all my athletes, just very transparent that like, if you want a full-time coach, I'm not a full-time coach. I train 25 hours a week. I travel to China and Ecuador to go do triathlons. Like, this is a component of what I do. And so if you want to leverage me for everything that I can bring to the table, here's what I offer. Here's my service. Here's a list of coaches who do it differently. But I'm confident in my product. If you resonate with that, freaking awesome. Come on board. If you don't, no hard feelings, all good. But I do communicate to all the athletes, and the athletes, I think, are stoked that I'm out there. Like, all of them, they're all my biggest fans.
Yeah, I imagine they are.
And they love, I think, like, it's really cool for them to see, like, their coach out there killing it and having hard days and pushing through and showing that resilience on the race course, like in Boulder, when it's like, all right, he's not fighting for the podium, but he's fighting for every inch.
I think you would be a good coach just from watching you, how you deal with people. I think you'd be a good coach.
Thank you.
Both you and Jeannie.
Yeah, I think Jeannie's underrated. She doesn't believe in herself yet, but she just coached the 18 to 24 female winner in Coeur d'Alene.
Nice.
She's an amazing coach, and I think,
and that doesn't surprise me.
yeah, like we talk a lot about, you know, I have a degree in human physiology. I've had these amazing mentors like Julie Dibbins and Nate Wilson and Jared Berg, and I've really spent a lot of time curating my, like, you know, training philosophy and whatever you might call it. And so I put a lot of time into just curating that. And Jeannie's like, well, I haven't done those things and I don't have a college degree and all these stuff. I said, you've got DBE, degree by experience.
Yeah, for sure.
And she's got 20 years of the best coaches, highest level racing, world championship podium, came from nothing, came from no money. Like, she's done so much and she knows so much. So I think there's a lot of value there. So anyways, yeah. I don't want to overwhelm Jeannie because she says she doesn't want to coach any more clients because she's trying to win another world championship too. But
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
I love it. Well, thank you for coming on.
of course.
We'll be watching you, a client, a friend, a colleague, a coworker. Like, I remember we used to see you guys every weekend.
Yeah.
So I don't see you as much. So it's kind of cool to have you on the other side of the table here.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, I appreciate you having me on and appreciate you guys helping with my podcast. And it's great to interact with you guys more.
Sweet. Justin Metzler.
Peace.
I love him and Jeannie.
Yeah.
And Marcus, who our client is, who kind of is the producer of the podcast here in the studio too. But they're just good people. And I know we mentioned it, but I want to just go back and, man, when we did the VR stuff, like Justin and Jeannie and Rennie and Tim and all these like incredible triathletes like really showed up for us to make sure that the VR, the virtual racing series, was successful. And that was during the pandemic.
Yeah.
And I've never forgotten those people. Like,
Totally.
You guys are the people that the whole sport was on the ropes. The sport was going down the tubes.
Yeah.
And these guys stepped up to do this wacky race on trainers and run next to us, videotaping them off the GoPro.
Yeah.
And it would be like, can you do it again this week? And they'd be like, yeah, what do you need? Do you want to be a part of a relay team? Do you want to do this? It was the best thing we ever did. But Justin and Jeannie were part of it.
Yeah.
Anyway, and then something that he said, and we harped on YouTube comments, and we harped on our guy from Austria. And Justin said it best. Nobody trashes you that's in front of you.
Yeah.
It's the people behind you. And man, is that so true?
Yeah. Right.
Like, it is. It's the people that are struggling,
Yeah.
suck, whatever you want to say it, and they don't have anything good to say. But you don't have like ASO while they're producing the tour being like, BCC Live sucks.
Right. Yeah.
That's not, because why would they care? Because
Yeah.
they're the best.
It's people trying to drag other people down. They're miserable, so they want to make other people miserable as well.
So remember that when you see the YouTube comments, that it's probably somebody, and I'm not trying to be empathetic. But
Right.
It's probably somebody that's struggling themselves
Well,
in life.
yeah, look, having struggles of your own does not give you permission to bully or belittle other people. So
agree.
that's the fact. Yes, he may be going through something. Other people commenting may be going through something. We're all going through our own things in some way at some point. Doesn't give you a right to be rude, to be incredibly offensive.
Yeah, and bullying's a good term, kind of. I always felt like growing up, though, bullying, like the people that did the bullying could back it up because they were like the tough guys.
Yeah.
And these aren't.
No, cyberbullying.
Cyberbullying.
Is different.
Keyboard warriors.
Because we've said come to 239 and let's fight.
We offered it.
Why are we doing the YouTube comments?
Someday somebody's just going to walk through that door.
Here we go.
Like, all right, you win. You could be rude on the internet.
Well, they're going to get bit by a Cocker Spaniel first, and then
Yeah. And then while that surprise is setting in,
Johnny Box a lot.
yeah, don't look the dog in the eyes and keep your fingers above your waist. So, well, anyway, we're going to try to record a podcast potentially if we take the equipment, because the whole company is closed next week. The 5th through the 10th, BCC Live is literally closed. It actually isn't.
right. But for all intents and purposes, if you're listening to this, it's closed.
Our Poland office is open.
Our Poland office is open. And our Poland office is closed on Friday for the 4th of July, but it reopens on Monday.
Yeah.
But the rest of us will be at Lake Powell, and we've rented it's a company retreat, and we've rented a houseboat, and we're just going to go. We're taking a Starlink dish, and we're just going to post YouTube comments all week.
Just be as positive as possible.
As positive as possible.
We're gonna comment on the tour all week long.
Oh, yeah.
And the tour starts
Can't wait.
And it's funny because we're going to Lake Powell, Utah, which is somewhat remote, not much cell service, but we're taking the technology to be able to watch the tour.
Yeah. Because that's important.
That is important.
And we had to test it. Like, we got this new bit of equipment that we're going to have to see how it works. I mean, yeah, it's using old equipment and putting it in a new container, but still, we got to test it.
Yeah, we're taking the Starlink backpack and the Milwaukee batteries. It's a whole new setup, and we'll be able to hopefully watch the tour.
Yeah.
And if not, who cares?
Right.
Watch the tour while we hike arches.
Yes. So anyway, we'll try to do an episode next week, and we're planning on shooting another episode of the Princess Rod.
Yep.
And if you haven't seen our Princess Rod series, it's where we take Taylor Atlee's fishing rod fishing live. We do a live broadcast. So hopefully we'll be able to swing that at Lake Powell.
We're going live.
Can do it better with my iPhone. So,
Thanks, Justin.
yeah, thanks, Justin.
Thanks to all the haters out there on the internet. Give us something to talk about.
Thank you to the haters. The haters are definitely our motivators.
One of my favorite quotes of all time is from Coco Chanel, and it's, I don't care what you think about me. I don't think about you at all.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's a good one. I like that.
Right.
I like that. I always go with who would be happy if we quit now.
Yeah.
And then you just, if you're ever thinking about quitting something, ask yourself, who would be happy if I did quit now? And then you'll never quit.
Yeah.
So I don't know who that is.
Right. But I don't want to make him happy.
Yeah. So, I'm gonna work till I die. So we need to do an AI song. You got any subjects?
I think we already did YouTube comments. So
the one about Matt Hansen and
Lisa Baccaris
did not go over well.
It didn't.
No.
So
Did Matt reach out?
no, that dude's way too nice. He's way too nice.
Yeah.
And it was interesting. After we recorded with Justin, we had talked a little bit about his coach is Matt Hansen,
Yeah.
which is cool.
I didn't know that.
I didn't either, but now we do.
Who was upset by the song?
What do you want to do a song about today?
Why don't we do it about how BCC Live's closed for a trip to Lake Powell?
Yes, the 5th through the 10th.
And we're gonna write mean comments on the Tour de France page.
I got to work with those people the following week.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm gonna leave rude comments. But I will leave rude comments about Teddy Pogacar, because how could he be that good? And I do understand his name is Tadej Pogacar, but it's just easier to say Teddy Pogacar. I think he's going to win the Tour again.
Nice.
So this song is about him and the fact that we're closed from the 5th through the 10th.
The office doors will close real tight. July 5th through the 10th, no one in sight. They're packing bags, they're hitting the road. Company retreat, time to unload. While BCC's away, the world will see Toddy Paga riding wild and free. Tour de France, he takes the crown. Pedal spinning, the champ's in town.